Welcome to the Carroll County Schools Podcast. Our 24-strong family is committed to positively changing lives while being recognized as a premier school district. We believe every student deserves to graduate ready to be enrolled, enlisted, or employed, and engaged in their community. That's why we make their future our mission.
Welcome to the Carroll County Schools Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Chambers, and I'm really excited today to have our Superintendent, Scott Cowart, here with us. And our whole podcast series this year is around the theme Elevate, because that's the theme for the entire school year. And it's great to have Mr. Cowart with us because he actually picked that theme, set it for the year, and I'm hoping today, as he's in the studio with us, he'll explain what that means to him and kind of how he arrived at that theme for this school year.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate this opportunity to be part of the podcast and look forward to the conversation. Every year we pick a leadership theme for the year, and we use that then to try to help everybody understand what we're trying to accomplish for the year. As we were thinking about this particular year, we thought back to our vision for the school system, which is to be recognized as a premier school system. Along with that, our mission is to make sure that we're graduating our students ready and prepared to be successfully employed, enrolled, or enlisted once they graduate from school. And looking back over the last 14 years, we've done a great job in the school system of moving in that direction. But what we found is that every really successful organization continually looks to get better. So even though we're doing really, really good, there are things that we can do even better. So as we thought about a word or a theme for this year, that's how we came up with Elevate, taking things to the next level. Even if it's already good, continuing to look for ways to make it even better for our students.
That's great. I know everyone knows you've had a long career in education and you've had a lot of successes, but when you think about the theme Elevate, what's something in your career that really speaks to you about something that is a great example of elevation? You either saw it, you experienced it, you were part of it. Tell us about that.
Well, really, I'd go back to 2010 when we were able to start this position. As we were working with the Board of Education, we really reflected on where Carroll County Schools was at the time and had a conversation with the board about what is it we could do to really improve for our community. And the discussion centered around the fact for so long, Carroll County historically had been looked at as a system that maybe wasn't quite as unified as it needed to be, wasn't quite as aligned, or definitely wasn't coordinated in the efforts to improve. And even some people called us a system of schools rather than a school system. We had pockets of excellence, but maybe other places, we were not given quite the resources they need to be successful. So along that line, when we look over the last 14 years, we're really proud of the fact that we've been able to bring about unity, alignment, and coordination of efforts. And because of that, we're seeing growth and improvement across the entire school district. And in fact, the unification type thought process aligns with our 24-strong effort to make sure that everybody knows that we're all working together for the good of every single student in Carroll County Schools. In every school, we want them to be as good as they can be because that's what our community deserves.
Well, I'm glad you brought up about your time here in Carroll County, because you mentioned since 2010 you've been here, and you can look at a lot of different metrics and really see some great examples of elevation, how the district is better off now than it was then. What do you think really has been the greatest victory that you've seen in that time?
Oh gosh, there's so many things, Ben, but when you boil it down, I think what you really have to look at is what we do to meet our end metric, or the end goal, which is graduation rate. And when you look at where we were in 2010, our school district was at 67%. Today we're at 97%, and we've been over 90% for 7 consecutive years. This is something we're really, really proud of, and it happened not just because of our high schools. It happened because what each of our schools are doing, elementary, middle, and high, working together in that coordinated and aligned effort I mentioned earlier. And because of that, not only have we been over 90% for 7 consecutive years, but out of school districts in the state of Georgia who have more than one high school, we have the second highest graduation rate in the state. Wow,
really, really impressive results. Let's go back to that 2010. When you were sitting here in 2010, part of a fundamental of elevation, I think, is being able to see where you want to get to. Not just knowing where you are, but really seeing a vision. How are you able to see Carroll County Schools, knowing what you knew about it then, and really see the success and where you wanted to go?
One of my early mentors in leadership said to me one time that you have to look at where you want to be before you start with where you currently are. And that's part of the job of a leader, is to be able to see the future and to see, what can we be doing? Where can we be? Where can we go? And so that's one of the things that we spent a lot of time on early on is thinking about, okay, well, here's where we are now, our current reality. But if we want to be a premier school district, if we want to make sure that we're helping every one of those students graduate successfully, be prepared, then where do we need to go? So we started with that, and then we came back to the reality, because once we knew where we wanted to go, then we could take the reality and develop steps and strategies to help us get there. And our people have done an amazing job with that.
That goes back to that future focus that we're all the time talking about, getting students to see what they want to do and then make a plan so they can get there.
Absolutely. And as a school system, we have to be future focused too.
Absolutely. So you have a vision and you have people around you who are in this school system before you got here, really. How did you go about getting them on board with what you saw they could achieve?
Well, you have to really work around a couple of different fundamentals. And number one is you have to build trust. And you have to make sure that you earn that. People don't give trust; that you have to earn trust. And in doing that, then you could build connections and relationships with those people, so that you can gain their feedback, understand what they're thinking, and then once you do that, then you invest in them. And invest in what they see and what they want, and help them see how their vision for the future can be aligned with that of the school district. So it's that working together, it's bringing people together, giving people a place at the table, listening to what their thoughts are, what their needs are. And with us, we have 5 very different communities.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about the people who work in the school district, it's also about those people who live in the school district, who are parents or community members. But another important element is our students, really understanding them. So when you try to take all those stakeholders and put them together, you really have to start with that, building that foundation of trust, building that foundation of connectivity and relationships, so that we can work together towards the same vision.
That really encapsulates the size of the obstacle, I guess, that when you started. That's a big 5 clusters of schools, 23 school units, really, to try to get everyone pointed kind of in the same direction. How long do you think it really took you to kind of get some buy-in? That's a hard question to answer, but you're pushing a rock and you have to kind of get it moving eventually to get a little momentum. How long do you think it really took you to get that started?
Well, it took really 3 or 4 years, I think, before there was momentum. Because if you think about when we started in 2010 and where our economy was, and where we were in society, it was not a time of hope and excitement. A lot of people were very nervous and worried about the future. So seeing a future that had a brighter place took some time. But again, we've got really good people in the school system. And they were here when we got here, and we got plenty of them now. We employ over 2,000 people. So it's connecting with those people and really giving them time to me, leaders I've seen try to make that happen faster than it can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to be patient, and you have to work alongside them and understand what it is that they want to accomplish.
You're going on a 13, 14-year project at this point. So a lot of us may never undertake an objective elevation that's that long term. But I think all of them have similarities in what goes on during that process. So I was interested in the fact that once you kind of get things rolling, kind of get a little momentum, people are on your team, and you're making progress toward that goal, how then do you have to modify what you do to keep things, you're starting to achieve success, you don't want to get complacent in that. How do you keep that moving?
Yeah, one of the things that we did around 2014-15, we partnered with a group called GLISSI, the Georgia Leadership Institute for School Improvement. And we asked them to come along beside us and work with us as a thought partner to look at, especially at the high school level, how do we really grow and improve our high schools? Because we're really focused at that point in time about improving that graduation rate. And as we did that, one of the things we did was study not only the best school systems around in the state and across the nation, but we started studying the best organizations. And what we found was that those organizations that are really performing at a high level consistently over time, that they are always looking to grow and improve. They're always looking to get better, trying to find that next step, that no matter what it is, if we get here, then what does it take to get here? Okay, but even when we get here, is there anything down here that still needs to be brought up to a higher level? So it's really about a focus on excellence is what it is. And, that focus and, that relentless pursuit of excellence and always looking to be better, again, brought us to that word elevate.
Absolutely.
That we're focused on
directly to it.
Yeah.
Right?
There's always a way to get better.
It's always about elevation on some shape, form, or fashion.
At some level, it is.
Well, when you look at those people that you got on board, you see a vision, you're going toward that. Let's kind of go a little bit different direction. And we've talked lately in the leadership meetings about results and relationships. And as a leader, you have to be focused on results, but you also have to think about the relationships you have with peers, with the board, with the community, with other people. How do you balance those out? Is one more important than the other?
No, they're both very, very important. And you have to value both, okay? You really have to understand that you can't have one without the other. And do we see leaders sometimes who make the mistake of going too far in this direction or that direction? Absolutely. But we try to work hard to value both. As I said earlier, it's about those relationships and those connections. We're in the people business. Mm-hmm. So you have to start with the people side of things. And once you do that, then you start on the result side of things and really start working with those people to how do we get to where we want to go. It goes back to vision and making sure everybody has the same vision. But we have to value both, even more so sometimes than those in the private sector. Is there a bottom line for us? Yes, the bottom line for us is positively changing lives. It's not teaching math. It's not coaching football or having a great band program. Really, the bottom line for us is about positively changing lives. So we have to value those results, but we have to, more importantly, value the relationships that go into making it happen.
That's really good and interesting to think about. So as you look across the school system, you've got leaders who are also working in their various areas, a school, a department, sometimes a team. What's the best advice you can give them if they're looking to elevate and they see where they want to go? What's the best advice you can give a leader who has that challenge ahead of them?
Well, and it may be what you just asked me, Ben, is to make sure that you know what your leadership bias is. And because we all have a natural bias, either more on the relationship side or more on the result side. So number one, know what it is, okay? And then work to intentionally make sure that you're balancing that out against the other side of it. Mm-hmm. And once you know that, then it makes it easier to make decisions. So, being people focused, but also being results focused at the same time. What is your natural inclination? Once you know that, then make sure you're bringing in the other side of it so that you can get that balance. And I think when you look at what we've been able to do over the last 14 years, again, we've got great people doing great work every day. And I think building that genuine sense of community and allowing them to be connected to that community and connected to that larger vision that we have helps them stay a part of what we're trying to do. People want to be a part of something special. People want to be connected to something bigger and better than they are individually. And so it's our job as leaders to create that vision and then connect them to that vision. So my advice to that leader, start with those relationships and then move to the results.
That's really good advice. I was thinking about, as we were talking, One thing I admire about you as a leader is when I see you, you're always enthusiastic. I can tell that when you get up in the morning, you're really excited about what you do. You've got things you want to accomplish. You've got people you want to talk to. You've got things to check off the list. You really have a vision of, it's just a fire in the belly that keeps you going. So I'm curious to say, what is the next thing the next vision you have for Carroll County Schools? Where do you want to take us next?
Well, I want to answer first the statement. So I'm answering a statement, which is not exactly right, but I get excited about positively changing lives. That's what gives me energy, gives me excitement. And what better place can you do it than in a school system?
That's right.
We take young people and we move them through a period of time that we have such an ability to mold and impact their future. And the ability to recognize that along with the other 2,000 people that work in our school system, we have such power in making people's lives better. So with that said, there are about three things that we really are interested in moving forward right now. As we went back and we're thinking about elevation, we were looking at our students reading on grade level, the whole idea of literacy and reading and the power that it has on a student's future. And we're really focused right now, even though we're doing good at that when you look at our metrics, but what is good enough? Mm-hmm. And so we're really spending a lot of time in our elementaries and our middle schools right now, trying to make sure that students are reading on grade level, because we know that will impact every other subject that they are working in. So that's one thing. The next thing, and it goes back to that future focus piece that you talked about, Ben, we've got a 97% graduation rate. Oh gosh, that is so exciting. But is that the top? And it's not. What's the top is going above the graduation rate, and how many of those students are thoroughly prepared once they get that diploma and they are finished with our schools, no matter what they're going to do, whether it's be enrolled, employed, or enlisted, are they truly prepared to go be successful right after they leave us? So we're taking a step backwards. We're auditing what we're doing. We're auditing the graduates over the last several years and how many were truly successful when they walked out with that diploma. And we're looking to elevate what we do. We call it G+. We want to make sure that not only do they graduate, but they graduate fully with the skills that they need and whatever they've chosen, and to make sure that we've done that. So that's the second thing. Now, the third thing is really something that's a little different. I think it's a step in a different direction for us, is that we're working to really better align ourselves with our local community as we think about growth. Carroll County's growing, and it's affecting us in the school system. If you look at our growth rate over the last 10 years, we've grown over 2,000 students. And we're projected to continue to grow. So we've recognized that to do that successfully in a way that continues to positively impact the lives of our students, that we've got to better align the work we do with our local municipalities and our local county government. So we're getting deeper involved in how we do that, trying to build those relationships, build our ability to have influence in a positive way on the growth of our community. And that's very, very exciting to us, because as we continue to elevate what we do, then we have to recognize that there are outside forces that have influence.
Absolutely.
And growth is one of those. So we're really excited about those three things as we move forward.
Well, it makes me understand better why you chose the theme Elevate for this year, because I think everything that you've talked about today is just consistently about elevation, whether it's the G+, whether it's literacy. Elevation is something that's an ongoing part of your DNA, is who you are as a leader. It makes a lot of sense as to why you picked that as this year's theme. Thank you so much for being here today to kind of help us understand where you're coming from and how we can better incorporate that same kind of idea in what we do every day as leaders too. So,
Ben, thank you for the opportunity. It's great to be able to talk about the school system. There's so many positive things happening, so we appreciate this opportunity.
And we'll be talking to other leaders in the coming months, the rest of this school year, to think how they think about elevation and how it really impacts what they do every day too. So thanks again, Mr. Cowart.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on the Carroll County Schools Podcast.